you guys, welcome back to the channel. This is DawnDoesLife, and today I wanted to show you how I made this reversible fabric basket for some of my diamond painting tools. These are my clamps that I use when I'm rolling up my diamond paintings, and then I needed a second one for my binder clips, which is what I use on my light pad. So as I said, it is reversible, and the nice thing about this is that you can customize it to whatever size you want. This flips up, so I just kind of rolled it down so you can see how much taller that is. And then of course, like I said, it's also reversible. So if I wanted to, I could have the blue on the outside, which is essentially what I'm going to do today with this one. So you'll need a couple of tools to make this sized basket. This is the dimensions that I used. So you'll need two fabrics, coordinating colors, same color, it's up to you. But two pieces of fabric that are, this is measured 8 inches wide and 16 inches long. If you want your basket to be a bit bigger, like wider, if you want it to be wider, then you would just go wider on your pattern piece here. If you want it to be taller, then you would just go longer on here. You need two of those. And then the other thing you need is some form of stabilizer for your fabric. Otherwise it would be very, very flimsy. So I would recommend having a piece of fusible fleece, something like a heavyweight on one piece. And then on this one, I didn't do it on this bag. On this bag, I only did the fusible fleece on the one piece. But on this one, I'm going to try doing it with a medium weight fabric stabilizer. So they're fusible, just iron them on, and that's what you need for fabric. So 2 pieces of stabilizer, or 1, or none. I would highly recommend at least 1, and a heavyweight one, and then 2 pieces of coordinating fabric. You'll also need pins or clips. You will need scissors or a rotary cutter. I use a rotary cutter, which if you use one, you'll need a cutting mat, a ruler. This is to poke out my corners. You can use just something that's tiny, like a chopstick, something like a stick of some sort that's long enough to get in there and poke out your corners. And then I've also got, so you want a fabric pen or a chalk marker, and I think this one's a chalk marker. And the only other things you'll need are your bobbin and your thread, and also a sewing machine. So to get started, once you've cut out all of your fabric pieces, they will not all be together. You'll have to go to the ironing board and fuse them together. But the first thing you want to do, and I ironed this the wrong way, is you want to match these up, and then I just clip them. Hence the clips. You can pin them, clip them, you just need a couple. You just want to make sure that your edges stay together. Okay, so I got one side clipped, and then you're just going to do the same thing on this side. And again, just want to make sure that these are lined up. So you've got that one. And the other mistake I made, you want to put your right sides together. I hate that the other night when I made this one, I sewed the blue fabric opposite way, and then the seams were on the outside. So don't do what I did. Make sure that you put your pattern together. The pretty side of your pattern is together. There's one, and when I was ironing them, you can see that I ironed them the wrong way. So I just about made that mistake again. And once you have the 2 of those, you're going to take them to your sewing machine, and you are going to sew. A 1/4 inch is my seam allowance. You can make your seam allowance however much you want. Just make sure that you keep it the same on all pieces. So I use a 1/4 inch. So you're going to go down this side, and you're going to back stitch at the top and at the bottom. Then do it on this side, and then do it again for the second piece. Once I have that done, I'll come back and show you what the next step is. Okay. So I have sewn both of those together, and now the next step is to decide how big you want the width of your bag to be. And on this one I think I used 2. So just go to your ruler, get your ruler out, and go to the 2-inch line, and then the 2-inch line, and you're just going to take, I was assuming that I was going to be doing this on the colored side again, which was the wrong way. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to see that. Oh yeah, I can kind of see that. So once you have your corner, you can either cut it out with scissors or cut it out with the rotary blade. You don't want to overcut it, so sometimes you'll have a little piece in the corner here that you just have to snip out. And then you're going to do that for the other side, and keep in mind that this is not the top end of the bag. So the top end of the bag is not sewn, and it's on the fold that you're doing this. Maybe I'll use a pen this time to show you guys so that you can see it better. I do have a fabric marker downstairs, but I don't feel like going back down and getting it. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm lining up the line of the 2 on my ruler with the very bottom fold, and then the line of the 2-inch mark. Oh, that's only 1, 2. Yeah, that's 2. On the side. So that will give me my square. And I'm not doing it from the sewing line. I'm doing it from the actual cut line. So I'm doing this so that you guys can see. And this is on the inside of the fabric, so nobody's going to see it anyways. And then you would just do the same thing. I'll cut it in a second, but you'll do the same thing over here as well. This one I think I'm going to recut this just slightly because I don't know if you can see that, but I can still see the line, and I don't like, the top line actually is not bad, but this bottom one. Jeez. These, my husband these are my fabric scissors, and he used them. And ever since he used them, they just don't cut as nicely as they used to. So that's why I'm struggling with them. You know how guys are though, right? Like, he just saw scissors and thought, okay, scissors cut. The next step you're going to do once you cut them out is you're going to open the sides. And the reason I ironed this is because it gives me a bit of a line here to follow. I don't know if you can see that. But what you essentially want to do is open up your fabric, open your seam, and if you can't open it, then just move it to one side. And you kind of want to line up this seam with this seam. I know it seems more complicated than it is. And by the way, if these don't match up totally perfectly, don't worry about it. I'm probably making this look way harder than it is, but it isn't, you guys. It's like super easy. And I just put the one clip at the seam. And then you flip it over to the other side and do the same thing. Open up your seam if you can. Match up your seam line, because you're going to be catching that in the seam anyway. I don't know what it is, but I always seem to get this a little wonky. And it's never been a problem with my finished product. So there is one. And essentially when you're done, you'll have 1/4 inch line across there, and then a 1/4 inch line across there. This one is a little bit trickier because it's using the heavier weight fusible fleece, but it's still very doable. So just gonna line up my seams. It being stiffer, it also makes it a little bit easier to deal with. But when you sew, just go slow across your seams that are more bulky. Come on, get in there. There we go. So then you're starting to see the box shape. And on this one too. And so you can make this as wide as you want to. Just always do it, whatever across you do the same down. So if I wanted this even wider and shorter and boxier, I would do like 3 inches by 3 inches or 4 inches by 4 inches. And that's how you cut out your square. So I'm going to go and sew a line across these again, 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to go back stitch at the beginning and at the end on both sides. And sometimes I even run a second line through there as well, just because it is a seam. These bags I'm not too worried about because they're not holding anything super heavy, but if that makes you feel more comfortable, by all means do that. So I'll come back when I have these sewn, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so that's done. Again, not hard, just the straight line straight across there. And yes, you will see bits of the fabric that didn't line up. That's no big deal at all. Don't worry about it. And then the only other thing I have to do is flip this one right side out, and then I want to make sure that I poke my corners, and that is what this tool is good for too. So all together, I've probably done about maybe 5 to 7 minutes of sewing. So it is a very quick process. My talking and explaining is making it longer than it actually is. So then what you're going to do is, now that you've turned this one out, you want your 2 right sides of your fabric facing each other. So you're going to slip this one inside. And the very first thing you do is just push it in. Don't worry about lining up your bottoms too much. You just want to get it in there fairly well. But what you want to do is line up your seams. So once again, I'm going to open this seam, and I'm going to open this one too. And once you have those 2 seams lined up, oh, I didn't bring a pin. Okay, we'll use one of my clamps until I get downstairs. You would wonder clip that together or pin it, and then immediately go to your other side and do the same thing. So you're just going to line up the fabric and open your seams. Make sure your seams are lined up. And then, and then clamp that around. And then you're going to go around and you're going to line up your fabric along the outsides as well. These clamps are not the most productive, but of course I had to do something wonky in this video. But you're going to put a clip, maybe 2 more clips there, just to keep your fabric together, and then 2 more clips on this side once you've lined them up. There. And again, like I said, you're not going to worry too much about the inside of the bag because it's not attached and you're still going to move it around. So it's just this, you want this to be lined up. And then the other important thing is you need to leave an opening so that you can turn the bag from inside out. Let me just see here. I think I did, I don't know, I think I did like 2 inches last time, and man, was it hard to get it out. So you just want to leave an opening from, say, like your seam to, or anywhere along here, and maybe 2.5, 3 inches. Like I said, and it's making it hard because I don't, but you just want to not sew and leave an amount for you to turn it outside in or inside out. And then what you do is you just go down to your sewing machine and you're going to sew all the way around the outside, matching your edges up together. You're going to start here, start sewing, sew all the way around until you get to this side, and then stop. But you're going to backstitch at both places. So if you have, this is not a super wide bag, so I had a really hard time getting it around. I have where I can pull part of my sewing machine out, and then I've just got a skinnier section that I can just run it around. It doesn't work on mine with this size bag. I'd have to make a bigger one. It would work fine. So the other thing that you can do is just, you would sew from the inside of the bag and just pull this back out of your way. It's a pain in the butt, but it's doable. I would say this is the most annoying part of making this bag, is doing this section here. But just remember when you're going around, and of course you want this lined up, but just remember when you're going around that last 2.5 to 3 inches you're going to leave open. Okay? I will go do this and I will bring it back up and show it to you so that we can go on to the next step. Okay, so I've got that sewn, and now it's all sewn around the top, and now we just need to turn the bag inside or outside in. Inside out, whatever. We just want to pull it out. And the way I usually do that is I take one of the corners and try to get a corner through at least. It takes time. Take your time. You don't want to rip your stitches, although if you do, it is fixable. It's sewing, but it is a chore. And I had this smaller last time. I had like 2 inches. It took me a while. So this one shouldn't take quite as long. But you're just gonna slowly find pieces that you can pull through. Just like that. This one actually went really good. And you've got your 2 pieces sewn together. Just like that. And then you have your opening. Now you're gonna take this tool and you wanna make sure that you poke out all your corners, because once we close the seam at the top, there's no more opportunity to do that. So just make sure you've got them nice and pointy. There's that one. You're just doing this to all 4 sides that make the box. I hope I'm staying in camera, you guys. Sorry if I'm not. I'm trying to concentrate here. You don't want to poke too hard because you don't want to come through your seam. But then I'll run it along and just kind of poke out my seam along the side too. And then you want to do it on this side too. But we had actually done it, so it shouldn't be too difficult to do. There we go. Then you're going to decide which side you want out. I made it this time. I put the fleece on the darker fabric and the medium weight on the lighter fabric so that I could have it opposite to this bag. So you just take that and you fold it in. And this time you do kind of want to poke out your corners together just to get that shape. Make sure they're all sitting together. Here we go. And then the other thing you want to do is kind of roll your edges, because we're going to do a top stitch, which will also serve as the closing for this one. So I always find with this, if I just pull this, if I pull it taut, it kind of will roll under. And this section here, you are going to want to clip. But you want them to be even. I'm starting to lose my voice. Still, guys, still dealing with this. Okay. I remembered to bring up a couple clips this time. My sewing machine is down in my basement, and I'm up. This is where I diamond paint, so I'm upstairs, so I've been running up and down. So I'm just going to pinch that together. I think I might move that over a little bit, just to get that first section. And we'll do this side. I think 3 should be good. So I'm just going to go back around and continue to roll. And And then, so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my ironing board and just give it a press around the edge. Not so much, I'm not so much worried about the inside of the bag, but I want to make sure that the fabric is even around the edge here. And then I'm going to stitch a line. I get as close as I can. I'm not sure if it's 1/8 of an inch, but you just want to do a line as close to the edge of your fabric as you can. And then as you're doing that, you're going to go around and catch this part that's open, and that's going to be your close. So I'm going to go do that right now. So iron my edges just to make sure they're together, and then sew an 1/8 of a seam, an 1/8 of an inch seam, or as close as you can get to the edge. That is still comfortable to sew for you. Because I know me, every time I try to go too close to the edge, I start to get nervous that the machine, the feeder dogs are gonna pull my fabric down, which has happened. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so here you have it. It is done. So I will just show you. It is reversible. If I wanted to, I could push it out and have it this way. Or the other way, which is the way I'm going to have it. And so this is the top seam that I was telling you about. What I do is I just keep my 1/4 inch seam measurement, and then I just move my needle over as far as I can. And I'm pretty sure that's an 1/8 of an inch, but I'm not going to measure. It's probably not perfect. And I did have a couple spots where the fabric did peek from behind, but it's not that big of a deal. And now you can make it, you can keep it this high, or you can roll it as much as you want. So let's see. I know I have packages of these too that I also need to open. I don't know what my obsession with these things are. Oh, not very many. Here's another one. So there you go. And in this case, I have more to fill in here. This is just what's on my desk. But I could go as low down as I want to with this bag. So there you guys have it, 2 fabric storage baskets, and it took about half an hour to make one. So not bad for a quick project at all. The rest of the time, this video, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but most of it is me explaining stuff to you. But now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments down below, which one do you like better, the flowers on the outside with the blue rim, or the blue bag with the flowers on the outside? I think I kind of like this one better, actually. And it was so easy. This is such a great beginner project, and it's so versatile. You can change the dimensions, and it changes the bag. You can make it bigger. You could probably make it smaller. I mean, it might be a little bit harder to sew it, but you could do it. Yeah, so I love it. If you guys found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. Go grab somebody you love, give them a great big hug, and I will catch you guys all in the next video. Bye!